Netflix's latest edition of a generic action movie with recognizable actors to make people even notice the movie is The Union. And in case you haven't seen that, maybe you've watched Red Notice. If you already felt like that was a generic movie, just remove the story twist at the end, the Ryan Reynolds humor, and the chemistry between the characters, and then you've got The Union. Using these movies as an example, we're going to explore why Netflix is turning movies into products, how a movie even becomes a product, and why Netflix's very questionable content strategy will continue to produce movies like this.
Rox, what the hell?
Now, what do I mean when I say a movie becomes a product? Some of you might be thinking, isn't every movie basically a product? Well, you'd be right. Every movie is technically a product. It's made to be consumed. But the word I'd much rather use to describe a movie is art. I love it when a movie feels like a piece of art. Unique, personal, and full of heart. The issue is, movies are expensive, and the people financing them want a return on their investment, and that's where things get a bit tricky. Only a handful of directors have complete creative freedom and can do whatever they want. This is when directors like James Cameron, for example, have such an amazing field record that they can say something like Avatar 2 is the worst business case in movie history, and still get full financial support. But most directors aren't in that position. And if it's not the director that has the field record, another way to make a movie a safer investment is with reboots, prequels, and sequels. You know, recycling familiar stories for guaranteed viewers. I'm sure you're well aware of this, and it's a whole nother problem, but that's not the case with The Union or Red Notice. So what's the strategy there? Well, if it's not the director nor the franchise with a field record, the third option is to make a very generic movie with popular actors that anybody can enjoy. And at first it doesn't sound so bad, right? I mean, who doesn't want a movie anybody can enjoy? Well, I'm gonna tell you why it is bad. Now, a movie consists of many elements, so it can be generic in many ways. I think there are 4 elements in which a movie can be unique, meaning that's what you remember the movie for, or it can be generic, meaning you don't remember the movie for that element. These elements are the story, the characters, the art direction, and the music. If I ask you what movie you think of when talking about music, you might say something like Pirates of the Caribbean. If I say art direction, it might be Top Gun Maverick. When you think of unique characters, maybe Deadpool will come to your mind, or Thomas Shelby from the Peaky Blinders. I think you get the point. It's always great when a movie stands out in at least one of these elements because it gives you something that you can remember the movie for, talk about with your friends, or maybe even want to rewatch the movie because of it. Let me know in the comments which of these elements is your favorite. For me, it's a close call between art direction and unique characters. But that's not what we get with Netflix originals. If we take a look at these elements in The Union and Red Notice, the problem quickly becomes apparent. The Union is a very classic we need to save the world by getting the thing plot. Red Notice? 3 thieves fighting over priceless eggs. Fun ideas, but are these stories you'd remember long after watching? Not really. I will say that having 3 thieves want to steal the same object provides at least some spectacle, but the story of The Union is really the most generic. I just watched the movie and I don't really remember what it even was they wanted to get their hands on. It's really just, we need this thing or the world goes boom. Nice and easy. We don't want to make this too complicated, right? Or else people would really need to concentrate on the movie they're watching, and Netflix knows that you're probably on your phone half the time, so they got you covered. Well, how about the characters? You might remember them because they are played by good actors and have familiar faces. I, for example, remember that Ryan Reynolds was very funny in Red Notice. But in terms of the actual characters they played, I've got no idea. I don't remember their name or what was unique about them. The characters are almost never placed in a difficult situation where they must make tough decisions that would make us understand more about them. An example of a movie doing this very well is Mission Impossible Fallout. In this scene, Ethan Hunt is placed in a tough situation where he only has a brief moment to decide whether he'll blow his cover by shooting the bad guys and thereby risking the entire mission, or lets the innocent police officer die. In moments like these, we learn so much about the character, but in The Union, they even make the point that there is nothing special about our main character.
Basically, we need a nobody.
Correct. After you.
Maybe the art direction can deliver something unique. Nope. All these high-profile Netflix originals have this very clean but emotionless style. So many scenes are just ambiently bright. This conveys so little emotions in my opinion, and it makes the movie feel kind of cheap. I mean, compare this to a random scene in Peaky Blinders. That style conveys a feeling. And yes, not everybody will like that style, but at least it gives the series character. But Netflix is doing it because while it's a boring style that probably nobody will love, it's also a style that nobody will hate. And that's more important, at least for Netflix. Same goes for the music. It's nothing you'll remember the movie for, but it's good. And it all comes down to the fact that if you produce a movie like a product, meaning that you don't want anybody to dislike it, you'll probably never make a movie that feels like a piece of art.
I got that on Etsy.
Now, having said all those bad things, why will Netflix keep making movies like this? It's not because they're unaware of this. I'm sure they're actually very aware of what they're doing. It's because it lies in the nature of streaming services, which are basically a modern replacement for TV. It's not like if Netflix suddenly published a movie like Avatar as a Netflix original that they would suddenly make $3 billion in extra revenue, because that's just not how streaming services work. Subscribers pay a flat monthly fee, so Netflix isn't chasing massive individual profits. Instead, they need to ensure that subscribers stick around for the long haul, which means constantly releasing good, but not necessarily great content. And while I don't like this, that's just what we're stuck with at the moment. But it's not all negative. I know I always called this a problem in this video, and for people like me that want to appreciate movies as an art form, it is a problem. But I'll give them this. It can be nice to know that when you see there's a new Netflix movie with popular actors, that it's just gonna be good. That it's a movie you can just throw on when you're watching it with a group of friends and you just want to have a laugh, or you just want to have a pleasant distraction while you're doing other chores, and you know that if you miss some parts of the story, it doesn't really matter. Sometimes people want movies exactly for these situations, and that's why it's okay that movies like this exist.
What'd you think? You think it was too much?
I have notes. Otherwise, pretty good.
Pretty good. All right.
Although I didn't really enjoy The Union, Red Notice really was an enjoyable experience for me. So I don't want to make it sound like these are bad movies. They're not. They're good, just not anything special. I personally just wish that Netflix would risk a bit more with their original productions and give the artist the freedom to make the movie feel more like a unique piece of art, and accepting that this unique style might not always please everybody, but will make somebody very happy. What are your thoughts on Netflix originals feeling more and more like products? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.